Hey, Mike with Nerd Problems Gaming here, the channel where we go through the good and bad of everything nerdy to make sure you spend your time on the best of the best. In today's video, I'll be doing a review and how to play on Pavlov's Dogs, so let's get into it. So Pavlov's Dogs is a cooperative brain teaser game where you can play from 2 to 8 players, challenging your memory through various tasks assigned by the dog tours to test your ability to follow commands throughout the game. It's a family-friendly game that's great for all ages, keep you on your toes with these intense memory challenges. But let's dive into the game so you can see a little bit more on how it's played, and then I'll jump into my full review after that. Alright, now that we've got the game out, we'll show you a little bit on how to play and how to set up the game. So to start, you want to deal out 3 bones to each of the players playing the game. That's kind of like their life points you have available through the game. And so if you ever completely run out of bones on one character, you fail the test. And so the test is going to consist of various different memory challenges. And so when you start the game, you want to decide how difficult of a game you want to have. So there's the puppy level, which consists of 3 tests, the dog level, which consists of 5 tests, or the wolf level, which consists of 8 tests. And this is going to be the hardest option. So let's say, for example, we are going to do the dog level, which is 5 tests. So what you do is take the testing board and simply put 5 tests in the board. And so you can choose what kind of tests you want to have. Just be sure that you only take 1 card at most from each doctor type. So let's say, for example, we want to do a couple easy tests, 2 mediums, and a silly. Now you can put these in any order if you want in the testing area. I usually just rank it based on the difficulty. And you'll put these where you can't actually see what the action is on the card, like so. Now designate 1 player for this round to be the dog tour, and they'll deal out 5 cards to each player. Now the player that is the dog tour is going to reveal the first command, and in this case, everyone will need to bark when a brown card is played. Play will then go to the players where they will shuffle these cards and flip up 1 card at a time, and when they flip it up, they will need to follow the commands that are in play. So in this case, you would need to bark, so rough, and you'll say the total number of the stack. So you would bark and say 4 in this case. They'll then go to the next player. They'll flip up the card. The bell is worth 0 right now. So you would just simply say 4 for the total. They'll go to the next player. Again, there's no rules right now with yellow cards. So you would just simply say 7. And each time someone says the number or carries out their commands for the current card, if they get it right, the dog tour will say good dog. If they get it wrong, they'll say bad dog. If someone gets it wrong and they get a bad dog, they lose a bone from the total. At this point, the dog tour will remove the cards that have been played, and then play will move on to the next player in the turn order, and they will start the process again with the first card. So again, going by the rules that we've been using so far, you would need to bark, so be like woof and say 2, for example. And then it will continue going through the players again until all the cards have been played. As long as 1 player during this process doesn't lose all of their bones and all the cards have been played, you'll move on to the next round. At this point, the dog tour will shift to the next player in clockwise fashion, and then a new rule card will be revealed. So now in this case, all players will have to keep these 2 rules in mind as they play cards from their hand. So they need to bark when a brown card is played and say hi when a speak card is played. Now, the Dogtor is going to hide these rules from everyone else, so you only get one chance to see what rules are in play, and you have to remember them throughout the game. Again, the cards will be shuffled, 5 dealt out to each player, and at this point, the players in play can also decide to shuffle their bones around. So for example, if one player only had 1 bone left, someone could donate a bone to that player to make sure that they hopefully would not go out this round. And again, now play would start with the next person that's up, playing their card and saying their point value. So 0 in this case. The Dogtor would say good dog, move on to the next player. They would say 0 again, good dog. Rough, 4. So this would be a good dog again, moving on to the next player. Rough, 9. And so play like this will continue until all the rules have been revealed and that final round is played. As long as none of the dogs have completely lost all of their bones, the players have passed and won the game. At this point, you can look at the scorecard and see what grade you received. So depending on how many bones you have left and the number of players that you're playing with, will tell you what ranking you got for winning the game. Again, there are some other variants that you can play with the game, so check those out in the rule book. But if you have any questions, let me know in the comments below. But this is the basics on how you play Pavlov's dogs. So now that you know a bit more on how to play, let's jump into my review. So now that you've seen how the game is played, how do I actually feel about it? Well, first thing to really point out is that when you start to learn the rules via the rule book, it can be a little bit challenging to understand and comprehend what's going on. But once you start actually playing the game and getting a feel for it, it's actually pretty simple to play subsequent games. So I would recommend watching a video version of how to play before you dive into the game for the first time. So one thing I really like about the game is the fun artwork depicting various dogs and dog tours. So I think you'll get a kick out of that, especially if you have a background in psychology or are aware of modern psychologists throughout history. Another thing that I liked about the game is that it has various levels of difficulty depending on how you want to play. So you can stick to more easy rules if you want, or silly rules, or make it more difficult, maybe if you're playing with an older crowd, to keep things interesting. Another thing I like is that the games can be pretty quick depending on how many rules that you're using. So again, if you just want a fast little game, this is a great one to pick up and play. I also think the game, even though it can be played via 2 players, I think the more players that you have, the more fun the game actually can be. And it's probably better suited to a party game versus a 2-player game. My girlfriend and I played it together, and it was definitely still fun playing 2-player, but it almost played as you just being by yourself, because one player controls the Dogtor and then the other is actually taking the test as you go through. So I think having more players in this game makes it a little bit more fun. I was also actually pretty surprised at how intense the game got as you get more and more complex rules into the mix. You're doing multiplication, subtraction, addition, the numbers on the cards are changing. You have to bark at certain times, so a lot goes into it, and it's hard to keep track of everything that's going on. I think another way that makes the game more fun and increases the intensity as well is playing a bunch of different back-to-back games, because a lot of times you'll have conditioned yourself to remember rules from past games, which can make it even harder as you play more games in a row. Now I know this is a family-friendly game, but the whole time I was playing, I kept thinking that this would be a fun game to play as a drinking game as well. So maybe if you made a mistake as a dog, you've got, oh, bad dog, you need to take a shot or take a drink, whatever the case might be. And so I think that could be a fun version that you can play as adults to get a little bit more use out of this game and enjoyment as an adult. But overall, I think it's a fun party game, a cool one to add to your nerd library. But let me know in the comments below if you think this game looks fun. If you've played any other memory games like this before, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to pick up a copy, there'll be a link in the description below where you can pick up a copy of the game. But if you enjoyed this video, be sure to smash that like button, as it really helps out the channel. And if you haven't done so yet, be sure to subscribe and turn on those bell notifications to get the latest updates of new nerd videos we put out here. And if you'd like to help us support the channel, pick out content and more, become a patron of ours over at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Patreon. And if you'd like to plug into our live streams and Let's Plays we do on the channel, you can follow us over on Twitch at nerdproblemsgaming.com/Twitch. But once again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you more soon.